Oh, good morning, coffee moaners. We just before we went live, we were listening to the birds there, and we thought we'll let you have a listen. We have no idea whether the microphone picked that up.
That's a great tip.
Is it?
Yeah. And that's a bird singing as well.
Here we go. We're off.
Yeah.
We're up. We're running.
Nah.
How are you all this morning? Tell us. Actually, tell us. How are you feeling this morning? Just had a real mixed bag on Instagram. Some people down, some people in hospital, somebody with a newborn baby. And she said she was just in bliss, just snuggling a newborn baby.
Faith Goodman's offered the word discombobulated.
Yeah, we were talking about favourite words. That's one of my absolute favourites, along with befuddled.
Befuddled? That's a good one.
Because sometimes it can be the sound of a word, but sometimes it's the meaning. And befuddled is, I don't even know if that's a made-up word in our family.
No.
When your body feels all befuddled, you know, when you haven't moved enough and you just, it is an actual word.
Yeah. Befuddled.
Peripatetic,
I like that. I was trying to think of other words.
That's nice. Because it's got a nice rhythm to it. Yeah. Peripatetic.
Yeah.
Years ago, I went out with somebody and he was Malaysian, and he said, honestly, you Brits, you just take for granted how incredible your language is to have so many words. And we do. We don't use enough of them.
No, we don't. We could use more.
We could.
I make it a challenge sometimes if I read a word or come across a word I think I have an understanding of, or even if I know it, but I don't use it, I'll make a note of it. And I'll try and think of a situation where one can use that. The problem with a lot of that, though, when people use words, is they use them to make people feel stupid. And so I hate that. There's nothing sort of show-offy about it. It's genuinely about you need to try and slowly migrate a word that you haven't used too much into usage. And sometimes I find that, certain phrases or certain words got to get.
I'm always hearing words I love and I think, oh my God, I'm going to remember that and I'm going to use it, and I never remember it.
Zoe's word is just fuzzled.
Fuzzled. Yeah. It's a great word.
Our Creatorholic's 60th birthday, of course.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Creatorholic. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, Creatorholic, and she just gifted 20 memberships.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. A treasured member. You've been with us for so long. Member. You're always so kind, so engaged. So have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. And all you lovely members over there in the family guest area, me and Nads haven't done a members live in a while. We have got one coming. You look beautiful, don't you? We've got one coming up very, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled. We will suddenly be going live. Do you remember when I went live just sporadically the other day? You really like that. It was good. So yes, what are we talking about today, Nads? Take us away.
Sorry, there was something else I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
Don't take us away.
So annoying. Yeah, what were we talking about over on Instagram? Birthdays, words. Can't remember what the other thing was. No. Anyway. Rwanda farce. Because we think it's become a bit farcical.
I think you could make a musical if it wasn't so serious.
We can't actually believe it.
Yeah.
Both of us were sickened to our stomach by David Cameron's little speech about the incredibly generous offer from Israel for a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Not a complete ceasefire. Do you know that?
Generous. It's a generous offer.
They'll start again, just for a while. And Barbara Streisand, who, I'm going to say it right now,
say it.
Right biatch, in my opinion.
You can't bash the Babs.
I'm sorry, I just think it's disgusting what she did.
You can't diss the Dolly, you can't bash the Babs. We need to dig into whether what she did was
unless
wrong.
Somebody hacked her account and did it, because that does happen.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that.
Netflix.
Baby Reindeer
is threatening to sue.
Could the lady who has been represented, or it's believed to be represented in the Baby Reindeer drama on Netflix, she has claimed online she's going to sue Netflix. Could we be looking at the next real life drama? I don't know. Anyway, what was the thing I wanted to just briefly touch upon before? Oh, I have a little, and finally, though it's not actually a clip. I think we should let's deal with Gaza and David Cameron. You use you're talking of words that we like and don't like. You use the most appropriate word to describe him. This is less about the fact that Hamas need to get to the table and negotiate, as do Israel, and they need to muscle this out. But of course, the muscled out agreement isn't just a yes, it's going to be a long and drawn out acknowledgement of years of occupation and then reconstruction of a country that's been decimated. Basically, it's become a lot more complicated, whether Netanyahu or Cameron likes it or not, than simply the hostages, sadly. There was a point where you could have argued it was almost only the hostages. It was never only the hostages because, of course, nothing happens in a void. It didn't happen in a vacuum October the 7th. It was a unfortunate consequence of a long-standing conflict and occupation. But I think, this word that you use, Nadia, was pompous. And I think they need to be really careful with the language they use, the West, because suggesting this is a generous ceasefire and putting all of it sat at the feet of Hamas and why is it generous? It's generous because it's going to offer a 40-day ceasefire, 40-day cessation and hostilities. And it means that Israel can hand back, I think, as I understand it, 2,000. Let's not call them prisoners. Let's call them hostages.
I thought it was 200.
No, thousands. 2,000, I think. And now that's a lot. It's not a lot when, since this conflict started, I think something like another 5,000 have been taken prisoner. It's becoming almost existentially pointless because they'll go over the border, they'll go back to wherever they live, and then they'll be immediately rearrested. I mean, and I hate to say it, I think Israel knows that.
They rearrest.
I think Israel, absolutely. Families aren't allowed to celebrate the return of family members. So if you suddenly celebrate the return of your family member from a long incarceration without charge in Israel, they'll be arrested again.
You're not allowed to celebrate.
So,
but also this administrative charges nonsense, which basically means that somebody can languish in a jail for years without any charge, and the family are not told where they are. And many of them are children. So when you're hearing all this generous offer, it is not. It's not because and we're not going to get peace in that region. And if anybody thinks that what's going on over there isn't going to affect everybody worldwide, think again, because it is. This needs some serious work. Mark saw a video today. It's the first time the UN have gone in. Is it since when? UNRWA. They went in on the 28th. This is what they call, because there's much made of how none of the footage is official and everyone wants to question the and because no
statistics.
Western journalists are allowed into Gaza, so it's all the I mean, how racist is that? That journalists that are there and living there, that can't be. It's not verified journalism. It's outrageous.
But also then you've got really quite sort of reptilian characters like Oliver Dowden saying things like, we can trust the democratic nation of Israel. No, you can't. Not when even America has now identified 5 battalions in the Israeli army that have engaged in gross humanitarian law breakages. So I think this idea that it's a holier than thou rosy moral army is quite something else. So anyway, there's always this questioning.
Most moral in the world ever. They said that again yesterday.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Victoria too for last Sunday, was it? Happy birthday for last Sunday, Victoria.
Happy birthday, honey.
Lots of love, sweetie. I just want to show you this because when I looked at this, I thought, well, this was the kind of footage after Nagasaki and Hiroshima and Dresden that was shown or looked at or watched, or certainly was shown when I was studying history, would be talked about as the kind of footage that was used to say never again, essentially. But this is what UN officials...
Now, those of us that have been watching, throughout this conflict, we've seen we've seen a lot of footage like this, but you said it's just so different because it's
officially sanctioned. It can be officially,
well, look at that.
And in a
just
minute,
look at that.
Now, obviously, you can always get just one sense of one side of a road, but in a moment, the camera's going to pan to the left, and you will look at the horizon. It's total, there's no way on earth that is an inhabitable community or area for at least a decade.
So it's very generous. Stop bombing them for 40 days.
And look at it. My aggravation with the word generous and my aggravation with our pomposity and this kind of, I'm going to use the phrase, slightly white settler language and just attitude
Slightly.
Well,
Said you've got to be very grateful.
Well, yeah,
what?
To say be grateful. Now, this isn't obviously he's saying this about Hamas. Now, of course, Hamas are.
Well, no, he didn't say grateful. To be fair, he didn't. But that was the tone. What he actually said was it was a very generous offer. When you say that, what are you saying? Be grateful.
Exactly, be grateful. I think happy birthday to Helena too. Sorry, we've got lots of birthdays. It's very hard to kind of cut out of such serious topics, but a happy birthday to Helena as well, sweetie. Happy birthday.
We'll do them at the end.
We'll do Helena. Remind us again as we get towards the end. What was I saying? What was I saying? Completely lost my thread.
I don't know.
Oh, good. Okay,
Sorry.
well, we've both lost our thread. No, in terms of the language being used, in terms of the attitude, of course, Hamas need to sit down and get serious about negotiating a way forward. But this presupposes that the reason Hamas originated was because Palestinians, forget Hamas, can't negotiate successfully with Israel.
Thing is, what you've got to understand is now that so much of the world thinks Palestinian, thinks Hamas.
Yeah.
And there is, there's a difference.
Erin Bullimore, it's pure propaganda. It's not even good propaganda because it's so blatantly trying to gaslight people into believing this is a genuine positive step towards peace.
Oh, those children. God.
Yeah.
I saw one the other day and he was saying, everybody keeps saying there is meetings.
Yeah.
What's happening with the meetings? I was like, oh, sweetheart. You can just imagine the parents going, there's another meeting today. Don't worry, there's a meeting.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Just made a note, Helena, of your name for her birthday at the end.
Moving on.
So moving on, just quickly also on Gaza. So you got Cameron being very pompous. You've also got Columbia University. Just quickly on that because we have touched upon it a lot. Columbia University is suspending students for defying orders to disband protests. Greg J. Stoker has been pumping out lives at the University of Texas.
Just to explain who Greg Stoker is.
He's an influencer. He's on an Instagrammer. He's been following. He's a former.
But more than that.
He's a former American. He's an American veteran. He fought in the Iraq War, I believe. And he posts and has been posting since the beginning of this conflict, really, really revealing kind of, if you like, breakdowns of what's actually going on in American policy, what the truth of a military action is, like when they're doing it for show or when it's meaningful, how he sees things. He's very, very energetic.
He understands the strategies, doesn't he? And he's really interested because he knows about all the bombs, like what's being used.
He knows
he's
the
a really
arsenal.
interesting guy, actually. He really is.
Well worth following, but he's been filming this. And it was interesting. He filmed footage of they have these trucks called something like emergency care trucks, which are for when members of any kind of, protest are actively hurt. So I think he or someone put a post underneath it saying, how odd to arrive at a peaceful protest with a vehicle that presumes you're going to hurt people.
Yes. Yeah.
It's quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, wow. But the very, very brave students and professors, continue to protest against a genocide.
Exactly.
Which many of them are getting beaten up, hauled off, arrested, thrown in jail. It's now, as you say, threatened with expulsion.
And I just want to also
show... What a lovely world we live in.
Meanwhile, we have the occasional kind of supporter of Israel seeking provocation. Look at this.
This person is not genocide. I need help. I know that, but they're surrounding me. They won't let me move.
No, you are free to move. You are free to move. She is free to move.
You are free to move.
Well, no.
Sorry,
so
on podcast.
Sorry, I thought it was the one that was sent through. So what she's trying to do is she's standing in the middle there, and she's claiming that she's being, hassled,
she's
harassed.
On the phone to the police. Please come. I'm surrounded. I'm being harassed. I can't leave. Please come. She's standing there like easy peasy. There's just these students sitting around and go, no, you are free to go. There's one reading a paper, and she's performing like this while she's being filmed. I mean, that is.
And I hate to say it, there are curious parallels between what both she's doing, what some of the so-called counter-protesters have been doing at some of the Palestinian marches. And you could argue that in microcosm, that is a representation of the Israeli foreign policy. You could argue that. Okay, moving on. Let's bash the Babs. We're going to bash the Babs? No, we're not going to bash the Babs. No, it sounds kind of fun though, doesn't it? A bit of Babs. I don't mean literally, but well, you know what I mean. Do I know what I mean? I don't know if I do. Okay, Barbara Streisand, what's she done? What she said?
I worry about you sometimes and things.
What?
So Barbara
What have I done?
Streisand.
What have I said or done?
You could have activated the
Bash the Babs.
you could have activated a certain group again.
Bash the Babs. Diss the Dolly. Well, that's what I'm saying. You've got to be careful. I'm saying it to you. You're about to bash the Babs.
So basically, well, I just thought this was really unkind and unpleasant.
Do you want me to keep this up, or
And
shall I go back to-
but I think also to just use this as a peg, really, to spin off from. So basically, Melissa McCarthy, we got the photo of her, posted this photo. She was at an award event. Look, lovely. And she was there honouring her friend. And Barbara Streisand tweeted back, oh, lovely. And are you taking Ozempic?
She actually said, send him my regards,
Yeah.
because she must know him. And she said, are you using Ozempic? And then, but the post has since been deleted.
Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. First of all, it's nobody's bloody business. But secondly, I thought we just got past, like,
Why would
dissing
you-
people's bodies like that, in front of. I mean, it has been deleted, but Melissa. It could be any reason why Melissa McCarthy has lost weight. It could be that she's, been dieting and exercising. It could be that she's ill. It could be that she's chosen to use Ozempic to lose weight because she has diabetes or she doesn't have diabetes. It could be any one of those reasons or many more. But what the hell's it got to do with Barbara Streisand?
Well, I'm running with the idea.
I think it's horrible.
Yeah, I'm running with the idea for the sake of just argument, of saying it. Let's say it is Ozempic. So the fuck what?
Well, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's nobody's business. It's like, if anybody in the public eye loses weight, but I think this goes out. Yeah, I think this goes beyond as well. It's always this like.
Is there a jealousy
It's
in
just
there?
this. I don't know.
Why do you think she said it, guys? Because I like Babs.
Do you?
Yeah, I've always liked Babs. She's a. You can't, babe. What are you saying about Babs?
No,
So
no.
I'm shocked. I'm surprised because I thought she was a woman's woman. I thought she would be like, she wouldn't do that. I mean, why would you? I mean, it's so unusual as well to comment under someone's post in a.
I mean, I wonder if it's because some people are quite angry about drugs
Maybe.
being used that are used for something else, but still, I don't think you do it publicly. I just think that
Well,
calling out people for their way that they look in any way should be always. They should be pulled up on it.
I'm going to
Because
say
I
something.
think you just got to shut it down.
I'm giving my usual kind of warning. I'm going to say something that might be a bit contentious.
What?
And I say this in the kindest of ways, with the kindest of hearts, actually.
No.
I don't know how to put this, but Barbara Streisand doesn't look like she used to.
Well, but that's none of our business.
No, and neither should it be, and I couldn't care less, and I
But-
wouldn't even comment on it if it wasn't for the fact that
Yeah,
she
but
made
he
such
has
a dark
not.
comment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I just think I mean, she's a grande dame of show business, isn't she? She's a diva. She's all these things. But I just think there should be zero tolerance. Maybe, and she thought again, she deleted zero
did delete
tolerance in somebody because we really do want to shift the dial on this. That women, everything is about the way that they look, and women have to be the strongest against this. And nowadays, when I'm in with, I mean, I really, really don't like it when anybody, sometimes you can just be a bit silly. And actually, this is with blokes, not with women. But you might say something about some politician that you hate, and you will say something about the way that they look.
yes,
and I always
that
say
Rishi.
to you, don't do it because it weakens everything.
Angela Rayner called Rishi pint-sized, didn't she? the
I
other day?
I don't like it.
No, it's
I
not
don't
good.
like it. I think that it just weakens the argument.
I agree.
I'm immediately on the side of the person that's been attacked. And I think, I just think it's really important to just have zero tolerance to it.
I've got a couple of theories on this, and unfortunately, I'm going to throw your mum under the bus here. Your mum. I think what might have happened here is, I don't think Babs has a full comprehension of how Instagram works. And I think she might have texted her as a joke, but actually did it on Instagram by mistake. And the reason I say that is, did you see your mum posted a sock and a shopping list the other day? I took screenshots, contacted Dina, said, "Did your mum know she's posted a sock?"
Oh my
on one
God,
photo?
she's got to be careful.
No, one photo of a sock, one photo of a shopping list, and then they came down. She pulled them down.
God, maybe we should delete Mum's Instagram.
So I wonder whether she had a bit of a, in the politest of ways, a sort of senior moment where perhaps she... Look, the fact is she pulled it down, which is good.
What was it I wanted to say about this, really? I think that sometimes when you can be with a group of women, and don't get me wrong, I love a good gossip, but I don't like bitching about the way that other women look or laughing about the way something they're wearing or something. And I think, a bit like when we talk about how we want men to step up the plate. And if men are talking in a derogatory way about women, then we want the other men in the group to say, look, I don't find it funny, or I don't. But I think we have to do that as women as well. We just have to don't engage. You don't have to have a confrontation. You don't have to say, oh, I don't like it. You don't have to be pompous in any way. But I think just disengage.
Can you enter into a cat fight? Can you pull at each other's hair?
No.
And do that windmill around the playground? That
just
girls
disengaging. Just like,
No.
I'm not going to join in on this conversation because, we're part of the problem when we join in the conversation.
A couple of things I want to read out here. Stuart, I'm so sorry to hear this. What a horrible comment. I buried my dad, lowered him into the ground, and a man said to me, "God, you've put on weight."
What?
Good God. I hope you nudged it, pushed him, threw him somewhere. How outrageous. Someone else has suggested here, Catherine McLaughlin, might it have been a joke? It could have been a joke that she realised didn't run well, and that's fine. That's fine. But now it's in the press, so that's not so fine.
I don't think. Well, I suppose it could have been, but wow, that's not a great joke, is it?
No.
It's not very funny.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Baby Reindeer in a minute. We wanted to have a little journey through Rwanda. What is your opinion on the Rwanda migration asylum seeking? Absolute fiasco.
For the new chapter to it.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to get a sense briefly beforehand, because it's just developing and evolving into the most biggest, expensive clusterfuck of a mistake. And Rishi is clinging to it like a sinking ship, as he now claims that it's succeeding because migrants are now turning up in Dublin. I mean, it's got ludicrous. Anyway, the lunacy of this whole story now is, as they get ready to rev up the airplanes, get them on the tarmac, chocks away, head over to a country with really sort of dubious kind of human rights issues, that's fine. In fact, the fact that we about to send migrants or asylum seekers to Rwanda has now made us an unsafe country for countries like Ireland to send people back to. So Ireland are having to change their law to be able to send the people that the Rwanda deal is now making go to Ireland so that they can send them back to Britain, because at the moment Britain's marked as an unsafe country because of the Rwanda policy. This is like a Rwandan feedback.
Insane. I can't actually believe it.
Meanwhile, there's probably people or security guards in Rwanda saying, "When the fuck are these people coming?" And I bet they're getting paid to wait. But anyway, the point about this is the Home Office has lost contact with half the people they're going to send. So they've lost them all. Oh my God. So now we can't find them. Probably because they're in Dublin. And then, I mean, it's just got ridiculous. This is farcical. And all they need to do is introduce a more sort of successful and efficient processing. If they put all the money that they've put into this Rwanda deal into the processing of existing asylum seekers, we'd be... But of course, we know why they're doing it.
I mean, the other day on LBC, that wonderful guy we told you about who rang up, and he was so eloquent, wasn't he? Articulate. Yeah. He was somebody that is going to be put on the Rwanda plane. And he said he's been told multiple times, he's got the emails saying that the Home Office aren't even going to look at his request for asylum. They're not even going to look at it. So what is going to happen? People are going to just like dash into the shadows. Yeah. Aren't they? Because people won't stop coming.
Well, no.
It's just that you won't know where they are.
And the ridiculous thing, like most things in this country, is so those who dash into the shadows for whatever reason. And you'll be of the opinion that it's dark and awful and evil and exploitative of us, and others will say actually it's desperation. And then you've got those who actually, there was a guy who rang in on to LBC this morning. I was in the car. Then you've got people who set up with what family or relatives or people they do know already in this country. And get this, they're the low-lying fruit, aren't they? Low-hanging fruit. So the ones they successfully get, as this guy phoned in and said, is those that they can rip away from whatever family they've managed to find here. Because they can't make their asylum appeal here. You're flown to Rwanda to make the application. It's not like, so say you've escaped, say you've got here, say you've got sort of, extended relatives and say, Nick Varro is using the example of Huddersfield. You set up there, so the Home Office know where you are. You're there, and they're going to process your application. Because they can't find all those that have no connections with here to take to Rwanda, they're going to go for you, even though you're embedded within a family that could possibly really successfully inveigle you meaningfully into the culture, into life. You've got a support network of, do you get me? It seems so they'll go for them because they can get them, and then they'll take them. They won't say, oh, what's your situation? You can stay with your family. They'll go, no, we're going to fly you to Rwanda. And if you're successful in your application, you'll stay in Rwanda.
Oh my God, it's just
crazy, isn't it?
Imagine.
Anyway, just wanted to share in the madness and stupidity of that. Let's talk about Baby Reindeer. Good God, this series, you can feel the next series coming.
How many of you watched it?
Yeah, how many of you have watched it? I guess
we've watched episode 3 now, haven't we? And oh my God.
Well, you don't want to watch
it.
Yeah, you don't want to watch episode 4, is that right? Yeah.
I want to miss episode 4.
But we are when we all get us, because everyone wants to watch it together. So once we all get around the telly, we're gonna finish watching it and then review it. But yeah. Anyway, this is the story that's emerging, that the real life stalker that is portrayed in Baby Reindeer is threatening to sue Netflix. And they've claimed that they're a very attractive lawyer in saying it too. I can't help but feel that you can almost feel the real life drama series spinning out of this, off the back of this show. And I'd be fascinated to know, separate to the kind of, I'm sure Richard Gadd, the creator, is in all sorts of turmoil, bless him.
That's what I was thinking. God, I wonder, because obviously it's been hugely successful for him, but I wonder if he has any regrets now.
It's becoming a bit of a poison chalice, isn't it? It's becoming a bit of a kind of careful what you wish for. And then ironically, I wonder if part of him is now beginning to think, is this the kind of thing that needed to stay in something like the Edinburgh Fringe off Broadway as a great creative piece of work, but not necessarily something so mainstream? Because, so I don't want to, again, I'm not going to say the name of the person, but the woman that many believe is the real life Martha has described herself as a highly competent lawyer. She's threatening to sue the show. I hate to say it, she's saying she's going to represent herself, which, if this happens, if she does represent herself, we really are going to be looking at the most extraordinary real life drama, or where, well, it was a real life drama in the first place, where fact and fiction is fusing in the most fascinating way. And just going back to Richard Gadd, I think he will be sat there in a real, I think he will be in turmoil. There's both the success, but then there's clearly, this will be snagging at him all the time. And I think this is a really odd, and I'm sure it won't be lost on the creative side of him, and rich, and when I say rich, I mean in the darkest sense, creative sense of the word, rich departure for this idea and twist to this idea, that if I was him, maybe his best form of therapy is to keep writing keep writing it as it's happening.
Wonder Woman says it takes a real turn at episode 4 and becomes very traumatic. Yeah, I think that's why we haven't actually moved on from episode 3, because we keep hearing that, and there's always one of us, because we watch it together as family, it goes, oh God, I can't do any trauma today, so yeah. I mean, just talking from a technical side, just of what I've seen so far, again, I mentioned this in any review, I do think it's really refreshing to have something on Netflix that isn't like everything else on Netflix. I think Netflix documentaries all look the same, feel the same, sound the same. I think a lot of dramas look and feel and have a similar sort of Netflixy, what Maddie calls a Netflixification, which is such a good phrase because it's true. And when things step outside of that, it's really noticeable and it's really refreshing on Netflix. And I think this, of all the things I've seen, this and Beef was another good example of a series that really, and that was A24. When you get some really genuinely so good,
rigorous creatives around it, you shift, it shifts the creative rubric.
Shirley, I had to have breaks during episode 4. Yeah, a couple of people have said that.
Vic, no, Emma does. It is very disturbing, and episode 4 is very horrible. And it's tonally, it's odd because there is a kind of lightness to it. It's a dark comedy in some sense. It's quite Black Mirror-esque in a sense in terms of what its kind of thematics are. Join Cessford. People do not realise it's a dramatisation. Calm down and leave the lady alone. I entirely agree. And you could argue that, I mean, I'm sure that Netflix and Richard Gad will feel they've done everything they can.
It's very difficult, isn't it, when you've got a true story? I don't know whether I can't remember whether it says based on a true story. Because you are going to have to dramatise a true story, and then the people that are involved are left with the dramatisation of a true story. So I wonder if this really will shift things on the whole true story thing.
Absolutely. Zoe, episode 4 is really, really tough, but an important episode at the same time. Yeah, I mean, it is about, sometimes people ask the question, I know you say this, why do we have to say it? And I think if you're in the business, which I certainly am, of wanting to get into seeing art or creative pieces or films or TV series as an exploration of what it means to be human, I think, going to really difficult places, which I understand some people can't tolerate, I think it is necessary. It's not about.
Does it have to be graphic? Does it have to be as graphic as that?
Well, I think, until I've actually seen, once you've watched it, I mean, I think there are arguments you could argue that there'll be a million different ways you could cover it. There'll be a million different ways. But I think the idea of it in principle, one can't just dismiss it, because I think sometimes it's the way being made to feel awkward and difficult and challenged by things is important. I think.
But I have huge respect for directors that can think creatively and do that in a way that I can still... I feel that with so many things that I watch without having to see it. And people have said it's very graphic, Mark.
No. And also the other weird thing is, having seen the stage play, I mean, I've been asking everyone and anyone who's seen the stage...
This is what Sally said. She said,
it
didn't happen in the stage play.
I'm pretty certain this is something that has been either, not inserted as in it didn't happen.
By the way, for wondering what
I think if it is in the stage show, it's a passing, glancing moment.
Maybe it was so difficult with only one-man show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably why it wasn't.
Rhys Roberts, it's up there with I May Destroy You, which was Michaela Cole's absolutely 2020 show about sexual assault. It's difficult when you do a show like that gets successful coming off intense trauma.
No, I couldn't watch that.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about that recently. I had a few issues with that show. I don't know what they were. Okay, guys, I think, is that everything? Oh, and finally, isn't a clip, but I thought this was so sweet. Listen to your kids, right? This story is sweet. Haven't got any picture or film to show, but a little girl said monsters were in her bedroom after watching Monsters, Inc. They brought in the pest people and they discovered one of the largest honeybee nests in the wall with 60,000 bees.
What?
Yeah. So this young girl in North Carolina, Sailor, young girl who was 3, complains. She said, "Mummy, there's monsters in the wall," after they'd watched Monsters, Inc.
Oh.
We gave her a bottle of water and said it was her monster spray so that she could spray away the monsters at night. Anyway, over the following months, the little girl kept saying, no, there's really something in my closet. And then eventually they got the kind of pest control company in and they discovered one of the largest honeybee nests embedded within the wall. Look, with 55 to 65,000 bees.
And 100 pounds of honeycomb.
In her wall. Isn't that sweet?
Sorry, I just don't understand it.
What?
Wouldn't you hear it?
She did.
But how come nobody else in the house?
Because it was in her room.
Oh, come on.
And it was probably one of those...
You're never going to go into a 3-year-old's bedroom?
Not really. Not if you're not putting the kid to bed. What do you mean? What, to put the kid to bed?
Good God. That is a very odd story.
Okay, well, I thought it was sweet.
3? Remember how tiny they were? 3? Yeah. Most of us are hanging off their beds at 3 until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Why is this whole story taking a cynical dark
turn? No, I just can't believe it. It's just... Don't you find that extraordinary, folks, or is it just me?
I feel sorry for Sailor now, that she's kind of not been listened to, or...
No, I understand that. I can understand why a parent might go, you've seen Monsters, Inc. I can understand all of that. But what I can't understand is how nobody else heard the bees. I mean, we had a wasp nest, didn't we? And they were just, we didn't know it was a nest, but there was lots of wasps. And we're like, what's going on here? I mean, did nobody see them going into the house?
Next time you bring an and finally in, remind me to piss on it, all right?
No, it's a great and finally, but it leaves us with a conundrum.
No, it leaves us with
Hang on, let me see. They get between the walls and bees are
out during the day and back to their queen at dusk.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, okay.
Thank you for rescuing my and finally.
I agree. No, it wasn't. It's just that it just piqued my interest in a different way. I just thought... Yeah. Dusk, though, that is when you're putting your kid to bed.
But maybe not in North Carolina. Maybe dusk is a different time.
Anyway.
If there's other news in the room during the day, maybe they couldn't hear it. If her bed was against the wall, it would have been louder at night, says
Well, that can be one of our
DK1612.
interesting things, because look, I saw this thing on Instagram.
We're gonna do
It says
birthdays.
how to encourage your kids to talk more. And it was like at dinner, you ask them to say a high of their day, a low of their day, and something interesting.
Yes.
And you can have 2 highs, but you can't have 2 lows.
Yeah. Don't apply that to drug taking.
and something interesting.
Yeah.
Mark was the only one that was having difficulty understanding that yesterday. The kids were fine.
No,
with it,
I
but
didn't.
Mark
I then had lots of stuff and you told me to shut up. No. I was offering lots of too much stuff. I got carried away in the end. No, not shut up, but you said calm down, which is often said of me.
But these people did it right from when their kids were much smaller.
It's a lovely idea.
And what they used to do is at the end of the week, they would vote like who had one of the most interesting things, and they'd get $1. And then obviously they dropped doing the dollar thing. But as it's gone on, that's what they do. And he said it's a great way to get them. So try it with your family.
It was lovely last night, and we all chuckled a lot. And I seem to remember everyone having a huge laugh at my expense as well. It was really weird. When we were all in person. What was it, the other thing that Maddie suggested?
Because then we started to do idiosyncrasies of your family. That's something that you might notice. Because one of the girls said, oh my God, I was talking on FaceTime to this friend of mine today, and I noticed I do. And she said what she did. And we all went, yeah, we know. And she was like, I didn't know I did that. So then we went into it. Oh, they were so funny with you.
So funny.
They said, Dad, why is it whenever you meet any, like when their boyfriends come around or whatever, you always carry cardboard, sweating.
That's a nice image, isn't it?
And going, okay, guys.
very.
And they were doing this thing, and they said, you'll always be. It was very funny. It's very sweet.
Oh, bless.
Maddie did a brilliant impression of me when I've fallen asleep on the sofa.
God, and the sound you make.
And then
so
I walk out of the room. Oh, my God.
Reese Roberts says the weekend, what a dude, has donated $2 million for 18 million loaves to Gaza.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Very few people of that status or
doing
fame
anything
who would do
or
anything,
saying anything.
So good shout out there. Yeah. Okay, so Helena, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Helena. Happy birthday to you.
And I want to do one to Createaholic again because your real name's Linda. So let's do it to Linda.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Linda.
Happy birthday to you. Catherine McLaughlin saying cardboard what? Am I carrying? Just cardboard.
You're always carrying something.
I'm always carrying something. Yeah.
I was always on the move.
I mean, on occasion, I'm carrying Nanny Di. I mean, that's, and finally, we don't know her name, but Alison's daughter. Wish your daughter a happy 16th birthday from us too.
Happy 16th.
Happy 16th. All right, guys, have a lovely day. Something will be landing somewhere at some point, and we are going away.